Happy Monday, everybody. It's it's another week of real estate. And yesterday I had a little fallacy, like a little, I don't know what you'd say, but it was just a mix up of my guest didn't show up and my internet was garbage, and I felt like I needed to make it up to you because I was a little off my game. Well, we'll just say what they say, your A game. I hate when people say that. But we want to talk about the housing market and I want to answer your questions. And today we have my good friend Javier. He was kind enough to step in and be my guest today to make up for yesterday's stream. So I appreciate him coming in. Let's go ahead and put him in. I think he's trying to mess with me right now. Let's see what he does. Yeah, he is. He's totally messing with me.
I can hear you. Can you see me?
Yeah, I know what you're
Hello?
doing.
Christina, are you there?
Total goofball. Total goofball. Javier, the crazy market, the super crazy market. Yesterday, I brought up on the stream an article that was, well, and actually a guy who wrote an article for Housing Wire saying that there isn't an affordability crisis and that there isn't anything wrong with the housing market right now, that, it's just everything's fair game. Everything looks great. And I know for a fact that for my buyers, it's been pretty tough to get offers accepted. What kind of crazy things are you seeing in your market right now?
First of all, I understand you had a fight with a housing market person, so I'd love to hear about that. Yeah, no, it's not hard to get your offer accepted if you have a lot of extra money lying around and you have the ability to risk a lot of money. Other than that, everyone else in the world, yeah, it's becoming the reality, right? It used to be just like, what's going on, what's happening. Now we know clear as day. Listen, if you don't have extra money to throw at the seller and you're not willing to risk anything by waiving inspections and appraisals, it's gonna be hard. It's possible. I don't want to say nothing's never possible, but you need to be extremely lucky.
And I think it's the thing about it is that it's putting home buyers in a bad situation because of the fact if they are letting go of appraisals and they're letting go of appraisals and they're letting go of home inspections, what kind of liability is that setting them up for in the future with these homes? Are they still in the same kind of footing because of the fact that they didn't have inspections if they need to sue the home seller because they didn't disclose something? I just think this is going to be a bigger mess when people and home buyers do this. When they, because I know they're trying to sweeten the deal. They're trying to sweeten that contract and the fact that, yeah, we'll do the inspection, but it's for our benefit only for the buyer's benefit only. But what if something along the line after the sale happens, and the sellers didn't disclose it, but the buyers did have an inspection? What could possibly happen? I think they're just setting themselves up for litigation, not only for the real estate agents, but it also could set the home buyers from just basically walking into a real mess.
Yeah. You think do you think there'd be a problem with litigation when they waive those rights as long as you understand them?
It depends on the understanding and the state, because, like, for instance,
How's your state work?
Well, in Louisiana, you have the right to an inspection, but at the day of closing, everything is sold as is. So you've had your inspections, but at the moment of closing, it's sold as is, unless the seller has withheld information that was pertinent to the house that wasn't disclosed on the proper disclosure. And you have to prove it. You have to prove it with the fact that, like, you have say there was a problem, like a leaking pipe in the house. You move in the house, the seller, new home buyer has got this problem. Neighbor walks over and says, "Oh, did you get that that leak fixed? Because they've been fighting that for 10 years. Then the plumber comes over and says, "Oh, yeah, well, I've been out here to this house 6 times and it was never disclosed." Then you have, like, documentation to prove the fact that the sellers withheld information. Then you could sue them for that. But at the time of closing, it's sold as is, done. So if anything happens,
that's a good example. I always use different examples, but that's very, very excellent example. It would still be hard to prove that situation, though, huh? Like, the neighbor could be completely making up. It'd have to be like you call the contractor or something, right? And then the contractor says, "Yeah, I was there like a year ago," right? Stuff like that. which is really intense. But yeah, I can see definitely litigation coming up from people not disclosing things, because sellers right now think they're holier than thou, right? And
Mhm.
if they feel there's so much, they're like, oh, we are such leverage, I don't have to disclose things. That's where the line's gonna get crossed. I personally, what I'm looking out for as the next step is, because there's people that have to give an arm and a leg, and as I like to say in my channel, sacrifice yourself to the dark gods to get a house. Um, I what I'm going to look out for is if banks are giving seconds, like, hey, we know you need an extra 10 or 20 to secure this deal. We'll give that to you, high interest or adjustable interest. Essentially, as they start giving intentionally loans for extra money to throw at the seller, then that is in that case a true like inflated artificial value, because those extra 20 30K the seller's getting is literally just being given by the bank. But that's not happening yet anywhere. I'm not saying don't let's raise alarm, but that's what I'm going to be looking out for.
I wonder how they can do that, though, because a lot of people are only qualified for X amount of money. So I mean,
that's the thing, yeah. But who knows? I don't know. It's just like a hypothetical at this point, right? But if home buyers, everyday home buyers, do not have an extra $10,000 or $20,000 to give, at that point, what are they going to do to compete? They either don't buy, or they have to find other ways to come up with that money. Some people borrow it from their grandma, but what happens when people cannot? Who is going to take advantage of that? Is the question. There's going to be somebody if the market doesn't adjust.
Well, here's something I'm gonna share, and you're gonna tell me what you think. So
Yahoo Money, Yahoo still makes stuff.
Yeah, Yahoo's still a search engine, believe it or not. And they say, will the rising home mortgages rates derail the red hot housing market?
That's actually a great read.
Yeah, it is a great read. And they said the customers certainly lost some of that buying power in the last couple of weeks, but it's still done pretty well. They're saying that it's still red hot. People are this woman, Taylor Morrison from Yahoo Finance. I don't know who Taylor Morrison is, but she was just basically saying that for some buyers it has kind of made them like step back, but it's not going to cause enough of a cooling effect for people that have been waiting for a long time.
I think that was Cheryl, the CEO of Taylor Morrison. Taylor Morrison's one of the top home builders of the country.
Oh, gotcha. But they literally refuse.
That's where people need to watch out where they get their info from. I mean, obviously, I'm not to bash us here, but you should not have only one source. On one end, if we're reading Housing Wire and they're saying everything's fine, that's great. But get some different opinions, and just like us, you shouldn't just listen to us and move on. Get different opinions, and find out what's the intention. Like, why is it that this CEO is saying that? Do you maybe think perhaps they have an interest of keeping homes being built at a high level, right? Maybe. And what's the interest of us saying it? Why are we saying the things we are? So it's important people think, the long picture too. So yeah, of course she's saying things are great because she needs to things are great. I'm personally, on a personal level, feeling that too, because I'm buying an investment, and I had one fall out of escrow last month, and I found a new place that I'm investing in, and my interest rate's 3 point something now. It was like 2.6 last month, and it hurts. And I'm feeling like, why did I wait? So I'm sure most people are feeling that too.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too. When it even Housing Wire, their job is for real estate agents to sell real estate. I mean, that's like their thing. That's what they're supposed to do. And when I got in the conversation with Housing Wire, they were saying that with these home prices being the way they are, that still doesn't cause a home affordability problem. And I was like, what are you talking about? There's people that are ready, willing, and able to buy a house right now, but they can't because they can't find anything in their market. There's nothing that's affordable in their market. You don't think that's a housing crisis in itself because there's no affordability? And he said, no. He said, those people most likely will never buy a home. He said, those people, we have a renter a problem. We need more houses for people to rent. So his idea was basically to get investors to build more apartment, condo type communities, because he said the single family home is dead, and that they need to go ahead and start building more condos and apartment buildings, because these people are going to be renters, not owners. I'm like, do we really want to be a nation of renters? Like, what are you talking about? To me, that is like, but he's a numbers and figures guy, and he doesn't think about the people behind those numbers and figures. And I know from my market, I have many people, plenty of people that are not a millennial, which makes up about 36% of the first-time home buyers, by the way. But they're not millennials. They're people my age that have never bought a house, but they fall under that income level that they would still be in that first time, what they consider a first-time buyer home. But they still haven't been able to purchase because the housing prices have gotten so high that like they're like, this would be my whole savings account. I can't do it. And so now they feel like they're in a hamster wheel, because they're like, if we continue to rent, we're never going to get anywhere. I'm like, I feel bad, because these people do have the ability. They have good credit. They just don't have, there's nothing for them to buy.
Yeah.
Somebody says, look, I've decided I'm not going to get involved in the bidding wars, as I feel the houses and condos are way overpriced. You're not the only one. Honestly, 022141 Abel. That I like your
Private name.
username.
I guess he or she does not want to know who they are.
Yes, they do. They're 022141 Abel. That's what their name is. No, but I mean, they're not the only one that's saying that, though. Like, there's plenty of people that have said, you know what, I'm just going to wait it out. This is ridiculous. And I do believe that, like, these houses, in every economist almost like whispers, these prices are not as sustainable. They're just not. It's a housing development that was $150,000 a year ago at this time is now $275,000. That is unsustainable. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What do you think?
I think there's certain cities that are being, I think there is an effect happening right now on a national scale where there's one state that had a lot of wealth, and whether you agree with that or not, they had people with well-paying jobs, and they just rent it because there's no other option, and they kind of forced their hand to get out of there. And now these people still continue to have their high-paying jobs, are moving into areas where their wealth wasn't as distributed as well, right? And they're making these areas, they're kind of artificial. I don't love using the word artificial. I don't know. Artificially rising the median home values in these areas by just coming in and saying, oh, it's 60, 50,000 a year. Okay, I make 90. And there's hundreds of people that make 90 now. And it's going to rise things up even higher. And because of that, I believe there are certain areas in the country that will be more expensive to live in. And I feel terribly for the people that, say, Phoenix, there's been super cheap to buy here the last 5-8 years. They're not getting it. If they didn't take advantage of buying a house when the median house range was 100, 150, I mean, that's just not happening now unless you have extra money. So it's not sustainable. But I think also people need to have a reality check that if you're waiting for all the areas to just completely just lose half of its value overnight, you have to evaluate, is my area an area where there's a lot of people from where moving here? If that's the answer is yes, then okay, what's going to happen? Like, you're going to have to, you can't just, I keep having conversations with people who are like, oh, it's 6 months on the housing crash, you'll help me. Like, you got to start making plan Bs here. Like, you can't just wait around for this, especially in this city. So people need to really look in their area. Who's moving in? Talk to a realtor, talk to a lender. So, like, is there a lot of those people in your state, or what are you seeing in your area?
We don't have a lot of new industry coming in, but I know like places like Austin, Texas, and around the Dallas area has a lot of tech companies. Yeah, a lot of tech companies are coming in and they're buying up everything. So they have that more expendable cash. So a house that you would have for $1 million in California, they sell it, they take the equity that they've had in that, and basically they can buy the next house completely mortgage free, pretty much, because they had so much equity in their previous home. They brought it all the way to Texas. They were able to, their offers were either are extremely strong, or they are just buying them cash, and they're buying them for over asking price because in their minds they're like, this house is 500,000. This would cost me 4 million in California. So I'm going to go ahead and just, I want it. I'm just going to go ahead and get it. And
so
it's
say they're buying a
expendable
house
cash.
for 300,000, right? They're going to offer 350 for it now. And they're like, yeah, heck yeah. But realistically, house values are only supposed to go up 3 to 5%, right? So that house, it was supposed to take them maybe 5 to 8 years to get to 350. But now, because so and so paid 350 for it, because it's so much cheaper, it's now, you literally 5 8 years, you just progress in the future of value. So but then that city, I think, will sustain that, or at least stay around higher enough, because there's so many people moving there. And as long as they don't lose their jobs, which I don't foretell that for now, then there's certain cities. My concern is for the cities that are near Austin, not Phoenix, not Fort Worth. Put whatever city you want here. What about the city that's maybe 10 miles north of it that doesn't have that many people moving to it, but is still getting a lot of home value increases? What's going to happen to them is my question. And that's what we're concerned about, because not everybody lives in these big cities.
There is a question that says, my husband wants to sell high, but I'm refusing to buy right now. We'll wait until the market is corrected. Well, one way or the other, you're going to pay. If you already have a house and it has equity in it, you're either going to pay in interest or you're going to pay in price, one or the other. I mean, like, you're going to get the most money you can possibly get for your house right now. And they're not saying that the interest rates are going to go back down anytime soon. So they're still way under 5. So if you can find a house in your area and your house is going to sell fast, see if they'll go ahead and take a contingency. If not, and it's going to sell, like, try to bridge that income, try to bridge that value of your house in from one house into the next. So that way you can go ahead and get yourself a house. Something to consider. It says, not only are prices high, but the condos and homes look like garbage. No thanks. Well, I was looking, this is funny because I was just looking and somebody asked, how much would a little house on the water cost you in your area? And for a complete tear down dump of a home that would have normally been like $65,000 was $175,000. $175,000. I was like, what? Yeah, and it's in the middle of Nowhereville.
See, that's the out of state mentality. I look at that price, I'm like, that's amazing, I'll pay that, right? But now if I go to that area, I'm increasing that value, and then people that were used to 65 are going to be like complaining about it.
Diana's smart on you. He's talking about California people.
Oh man, I'm smart. I got a smart audience here. They picked it up.
Yeah,
we're actually talking about Philadelphia. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So John says, hi Javier, came to say hi. Hello to my favorite real estate YouTuber, John. I hope I'm your favorite.
Oh, you're saying hi to Kristina? Thank you. Anywho, yeah, well, thank you.
No, he likes you.
No, John. He's always stopping by my live stream. Thank you,
John. B Pablo says, we live in Frisco, Texas. If you're lucky to get a house with a 115K
with an offer 15,000 more,
and pay taxes, title, and lease back on top of over asking price, you're more than lucky. I would say blessed.
So in his state, the buyer's paying their tax. I don't know if that's necessarily legal, but I think maybe there's the closing costs. When you pay a closing cost, you're not paying their taxes. You're paying the taxes that's left over for that period, but they still have to pay before they close. So a little correction there. That doesn't sound that bad of a deal right now, to be quite honest, in Phoenix. If 15,000 over and you pay closing costs is pretty like, it's all subjective. Like it's not that bad yet.
I guess for the town though, Frisco, Texas. I mean, how busy is that town? Is it
that's exactly one of those areas that I don't really see a lot of people moving there. So there's people moving there, or are they just benefiting from the aftershocks, if you will, of the cities that are booming?
The other thing I was just going to say, some people, this was back in the day before the other market we had, when it was the buyer's market, and they would ask for $10,000 in closing costs, and they would only use $5,000 of that closing costs. The buyers actually thought that they would get $5,000 back from the sellers. Cash, I'm like, I'm like, that is like, they really thought that. I'm like, what? Well, they gave us 10,000. I'm like, they're not paying you to buy their house. They're giving you a helping hand. You're not getting $5,000 back. Some people were actually mad.
How dare you not get them those $5,000?
I know. Cacique 882. Casque, whatever. I'm going to try
I think
that.
it's Casque. I don't know.
Casque. Blacksburg, Virginia houses are $100,000 overpriced with nothing nice here. Just a VT Tech college. Isn't that insanity me? See, this happened in Orlando in 2006. I had I would call it a starter home. We bought it for 135,000. It needed everything. It needed a new roof. It needed everything. So my husband and I did all of that. At the height of that market, the very, very height, it made it up all the way to $295,000. And I'm thinking to myself, how in the 3 years that we bought this house is this house now worth $289,000? That made absolutely no sense to me. And I looked at my husband. I said, "You need to find a job somewhere else." He says, "Why?" I said, "Because this isn't going to sustain itself, and we don't want to live here forever." That guy bought our house when the market started going down, and he bought it for $245,000. And I was like, man, we lost out on $45,000, whatever, but we still didn't lose. That guy sold that house 10 years after he purchased it for $185. That hurts.
Yeah.
That hurts a lot. Okay. 022141 Abel says, I've been looking to buy a condo in Michigan area, but they are way priced too high, and cheap products were used inside condos. I'm going to tell you this. So, the supply of lumber has been squeezed, right? And in some areas throughout the country, because of the cost of lumber, and they're not getting it from their typical suppliers, they've been getting lumber from other places, which is a poorer quality of lumber. So some of these houses that are being built are not built to as high of quality as they had been in years past, because there's been such a squeeze in building materials. I heard that from another agent. I have not personally seen that here in Louisiana, but I did hear that from another real estate agent. Have you been seeing that in your area, Javier?
I'm not really involved in that, but I do know that what I'm starting to see builders do is they're not giving people the option to build on dirt lots anymore. What I'm seeing them doing is they'll reserve a whole like 20 or 30 lots, and they'll package them as like inventory homes, right? Or I think they call them specs. Yeah,
spec
homes. And they're saying, "Oh, we're doing this so we can, help you guys out." But the reason why they're doing it is, and I actually behind the scenes found this out, is these lumber, they're short supply. They don't know when they're going to get it, so they would rather get the material for 30 houses ready to go rather than order individual basis by whatever people pick. So they're just building all these. They're ordering them all at once in giant bulk, and they're able to use that lumber. They're doing that to prevent this from happening. But I think this is also so, because people buy a new build and they put $100,000 of upgrades, right? And that doesn't helping appraisals. I think they're doing it to kind of slow things down too. So another prediction is this whole idea of buying a new build where you pick out a lot, you build it yourself, I think it's going away. I think builders are going to start buying lots and just start pre-making them, and people are so desperate for a house, they're just going to go whatever's available.
That happened in 2006 as well.
Really?
Yeah.
I was a freshman in high school then, so I wasn't aware.
Yeah, they made spec homes. They would do a bunch of.
They always made them, but they only made like 5 or 10. They would never make all of them spec homes.
Oh no, the big builders always did. They always would make about 40 houses, and that's been a common practice here in Louisiana, because
they just make a bunch just so you can buy them.
They have this one builder bought like 750 lots, and he just kept cookie cuttering them all out. The whole neighborhood looks exactly the same. Up. Yeah, they sure did. They really did. And the only thing that changed is, like you said, is the upgrades that are inside. And some of those people that were selling, they were like, I put $30,000 worth of upgrades. And I'm like, it doesn't mean hell beans difference. Sorry.
Quick question though, before we go. My finger's been hurting a lot lately. Do you know what's wrong with it?
Yeah, that joke never gets old with you, does it? Like at some point, it's like my dad does that joke. Like, what, really? You're killing yourself laughing.
Can you tell me what's wrong with it?
Yeah. You're out of your mind.
You're going to be like, I know somewhere you need to put that finger.
Unfortunately, we were offering almost $8,000 overpriced for an old, outdated home in Allen, Texas, and was still outbid. This is the story of every home buyer, and you can go over asking price. You can let go of your contingency, meaning that it doesn't have to appraise for that value, which really stinks because you're going to have to come up with that money out of pocket. Then you can also add to that the like your home inspections. You're not going to even do a home inspection, or if you're going to do a home inspection, it's just for your knowledge only, and the seller will make no repairs. That's how I've been getting away with getting my offers accepted, was that we're doing an inspection period. It's for the buyer's knowledge only, and they're not going to back out of the deal even if they find a bunch of things wrong. This last one I wrote it for was that if the repair cost didn't exceed $10,000, then we wouldn't walk away. But if it did, we would, and it got accepted.
Yeah.
So
that's the strategy I'm using too. The title's strategies to get your offer accepted, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's for sure. One thing that's been working well is if you can't waive your inspection, which I get it, make it super short, 5 days. You can get an inspector within a day or two. It sucks, but it's at least it gets to the point quicker. And also what I've been doing is like a buyer not to ask for any repairs that exceed 500, 1,000, whatever. So literally you're telling the seller, I'm not going to bug you with tiny repairs. I will only bug you if there's several medium-sized repairs or a really large one, which it's kind of dumb for sellers to accept, because you can say whatever you want, but you can still ask for it. On here in Arizona, there's no as-is addendum. You can say you're going to do something, but you can still ask it. But yeah, no, it helps the seller, at least in their brain, think that you're a better buyer. That's all that matters.
Well, our inspection period here, that it's like after you have inspections, you still can negotiate with the seller, and if the seller's unwilling to fix those repairs, you can walk away from the transaction. It's just that in this specific market, the sellers don't care, and they're like, "Yeah, you go ahead and walk away."
The other 20 offers.
Yeah, I go with the other 20 offers that I have on the plate. But normally, a seller is willing to negotiate. They're willing to work with the buyer to try to get them to purchase the house. It's just the sellers have all the control. So, Augustine says, Utah isn't saying waiving everything, paying cash over appraisal. If you bought last year, you pocket about 10,000, 100,000 now. Not sustainable. Red flags. You know what, Augustine? I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I got in a little tiff with somebody recently, and they were saying, "Oh, housing market's great."
Say a name, coward.
I don't remember. I just know that he was a writer and an economist for housingwire.com. I couldn't remember his name, but we got into it, and he was like, he thinks that everything's fine. But I think it's his job to try to put that like earworm, so we continuously say this positive things about the housing market. But if you're out there in the trenches selling homes, I mean, it's hard to stay positive with working with buyers when you're getting offer after offer after offer rejected. It's like you have to be super clever with these contracts to know exactly what to ask for, but still protect your buyer. That's the number one thing. Like, I mean, I waive contingencies when it comes to inspections, but I make sure that if the inspection report comes up with anything over whatever the amount is, like if the buyer can't afford anything over $10,000, so if the repair list is more than $10,000, we're walking away because they can't afford to remedy those items after they move in anyways. You have to know your contracts, and you have to protect your buyers. That's why it's good to have a good real estate agent in your area that understands that. What do you think?
I was talking to a really good friend of mine the other day about this, and he described something called compassion fatigue. We can talk about it right now, but you can answer Diana's question.
Okay. Diana says, my husband is planning to retire next year. We plan on moving out of the city using our equity to have no home payment. It is crazy here. We may be changing states. Well, you know what? You're not the only one. Everybody's talking about it. Some people are even talking about moving to different countries. And I'm actually going to be doing a video in the future about that. Retiring out of the country.
Don't go to Mexico.
with affordable housing options.
Not very
Costa
helpful.
Rica is a very popular, very popular with the retirees, and I'll explain why that in that video too. So tell me what you were going to say about your friend.
First of all, I want to say to her, I think she's the same one that mentioned something about their husband's gonna retire or something along those lines. I think before she said something else about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think because she was talking about cashing out at the top or something. Previous question. The thing is that there's nothing wrong with cashing out right now, but it has to make sense with your life plans, like where you are right now. So she's about to retire with her husband.
Right.
I would totally cash out if I was about to retire. I don't care if it's going to keep going up or down. Cash out, get your money, go rent. You're at the end of your you're retiring. Sorry, I don't want to be brutal about it, but why go and do that? If you're at a point where maybe you are in middle age or you're younger and you have a few kids and you're like, you know what, I can go live with my family right now and I'll be okay. Let me sell my house, make $100,000. I'm gonna wait and took things on. That's okay. There's different ways of doing it. You are gonna have to either pay higher interest or wait for something to adjust, but there's nothing wrong with doing that. I think right now, if you sell and you're sacrificing that and you're gonna know what you're gonna do next, you're doing a service for your country, to be quite frank with you, because we need more inventory right now. So yeah, but
you're actually kind of right about that. It sounded silly and hokey, but you're actually kind of right. You're doing a service.
It will be tough. It will be a risk because you don't know where you're going to go, if you're going to buy more expensive or you're going to go live with family and suck it up for a bit. But we really need more inventory right now, and to cash out, get your money, and hit the thumbs up. That's right. I was talking to my friend about I was talking to my friend about compassion fatigue, right? And it's getting, this market's been so brutal, especially here. I went from being a top producing agent to someone like, I just, when there's 5 or 6 people and 4 of them don't have the means to do what they need to do to get the offers, it just gets hard. And you hear the same story over and over again. So-and-so has been planning, preparing, saving, but it's not enough. Or they go look at houses and they're outbid by 30 offers. And it gets to the point, once you hear it so many times, that you only have, the way he described it, is only limited tanks of compassion to give. And right now, I mean, I feel like most decent people in the industry, real estate and mortgage, are having that compassion fatigue right now. And maybe that's why you're hearing us speak more bluntly about it, because it's just, if you, I've gone, my approach to my channel has gone to more, let's see how we can improve your budget and your affordable, so you can afford something better, right? I know your content is really on the affordable housing, on the smaller homes and whatnot, just doing well too because of that. Because I think it's tough for everybody right now. Realtors are struggling. You guys are struggling. Hopefully the end is near. Even if the houses stay expensive, I don't mind. We just need more inventory. We just need it to not be so crazy.
You made a valid point, because everybody thinks that the real estate agents are sitting there like licking their lips.
Even the listing agents are terrible. Like everyone's struggling right now.
Yeah, because of the fact there is such a low inventory, and then all these offers come in, and you would think, oh, we're making so much money, but we're really not, because we're crippled in the fact that we only have so many. We have a bank of buyers that want to buy houses, but there's such little supply of houses that it's just so much more pressure, because you're literally sitting like this by your phone, and that, like, soon as one hits on the market, you're getting in the car and you're on your way. It's gotten so bad now that people are literally putting in an offer the minute it hits the market, and they're not even sight unseen. And they're using that inspection period to decide if they actually want the house or not.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've talked about this before, but a lot of the agents are reducing their commission on the seller side because sellers have so much leverage. We're becoming less and less necessary. And
I always prove my value, though. Like, before it even hits.
There's amazing agents like you, but everyone else, they're like, I need inventory. I need a seller so bad. I'll do it for this percentage. And then for buyers, I've just realized, Smallhorn, I'm not the type of agent for this market. I'm not going to drop my family's. If I'm here at my work editing a video, or if I'm with my family, I'm not going to just drop what I'm doing to go show you a house right now, 5. It's a young man's game. It's somebody without family's game. And that's okay. Once the market returns to normal, I'll start selling a lot more. But for now, I'm going to just do live stream. I'm going to just live off my live stream guest fees. So
I'm not going to reduce the quality of my work and my reputation for a less of a commission. Now, like, I genuinely enjoy putting a house on the market and making it look the best it could possibly look. I enjoy writing. Yeah, I enjoy writing out a very good description for that house. I spend like literally in front of that computer a good day and a half, making sure that that listing is ready once it hits the market, that it's going to be optimized for search engine optimizations, everything. It's going to hit all of those websites and be at the top of the list of people's search. And no matter what market it is, I always do that. Every single one of my listings always gets a professional video with the listing itself. I'm not talking about moving pictures with crappy music. I'm talking like a full on video, voiceover, whole 9 yards. I'm not going to go cheap for any listing. I don't care how crummy or good the market is. But here's a question for me. Here it goes. Modular homes we priced 6-8 months ago have jumped up $35,000 or more. Our home is all staged and ready to sell, but we're nervous with this market. Okay, so modular homes, manufactured homes, traditional stick-built homes, and even tiny homes have increased in price because of one reason. Building supplies are scarce. It's getting better. It is getting better. The supply chain is getting better, but 2020 really messed with a lot of builders when it came to getting building materials. My husband used to work for a roofing company. Just to get the roofing shingles was a nightmare. Things are starting to pick back up and the supply chain is moving a little bit smoother now. So we might see I don't know if we'll see a drop in price. I'm hoping for a drop in price. It could be, especially it could happen. We'll be in great shape if we don't have any natural disasters this summer. So, it's one of those things. The thing about modular homes and manufactured homes, if they ever go up in price, they never go back down. That's the thing that stinks. He says modular homes. Oh, I hit that. He must have hit it twice. Yeah, he did the comment twice. Sorry, Nick. Okay. All right, let's see here. Question. First time home buyer here. By this time next year, will we have saved up to close to $50,000 for a new home? What type of loan is best for us? Okay, so that's going to depend on your what they call their DTI or debt to loan value, and how much you're going to be putting down for your home, if it's even necessary for you to even put down the whole $50,000. Like I wish I had a crystal ball, but it used to be like my husband and I actually, when we were about to buy our first home, actually had enough to put down 20%. But the way that loans were structured at that specific time, he said, hold on to your money, keep it in a savings account, just finance it. Cause like the interest rates are low right now. The housing market's going up. You don't need to put down your whole 20%. You're going to be just fine. This will, you can afford this payment. And I was like, okay, I felt really nervous about that because I've been taught my whole life when I bought my first house, you got to save down 20%. Ended up being a smart decision because things happen in life and we ended up fixing up the house and everything. So you're going to want to talk to your loan officer or preparer on that one. What do you think?
To find out what's your best loan type, we need to know your credit score. We need to know if you have a house. We need to know if you have your income level. So really, it boils down to what your credit score is. I know you can get super deep about it, but if you're in this over 700 conventional, if you're in the 600 FHA, then you have to evaluate if that type of loan is the best loan for the market. And doesn't matter what you have, say, for a down payment. It's what, yeah, I mean, it matters what percentage, but $50,000 for a conventional $1 million house won't cut it, right? So that 50,000 could be big or it could be small. We need to know a lot more, in my opinion, to give advice on that.
I've been doing a lot less FHA loans recently. They've been going more conventional.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
You know what FHA stands for, right?
Federal Housing Association.
Oh.
What do you have? I
was going to make something up on the spot, but I failed.
We need compassion lenders to let us land on build for less than 20%.
I've never heard that term, compassion and lending.
They're bankers. They'll let the average American fail, but they will never let a bank fail. All right. Me again, Dave. Hey, me again, Dave. How are you? Here's one. Eggy says, real estate is never short on excuses. I'm not making excuses. I'm actually literally telling you exactly how it is. I'm not making any excuses for this market. It sucks. And that's the whole thing is like, we genuinely hate it. There isn't like every time I'm setting an offer, I write in there, and by the way, I hate this market. They always write a lot of laughs. I do too. Even the listing agents hate it.
I got it. FHA stands for failed home attempt because you're going to fail your attempt to get that home with an FHA. I just made that up. Sorry. Terrible.
Failed home. Yeah. Did you get a little thesaurus? Thank you guys.
Huh?
Did you have to get a thesaurus?
I was like, letters start with H.
Hey, two of my favorite YouTubers interested to hear what's working to get offers accepted. I've heard Javier say recently a big part is how much risk you are willing to take as a home buyer. Okay, Dan Parker is throwing his hat in the ring. What do you want to say to good old Dan?
Parker's got the best thumbnails in the game. Let me just say that.
It's his face. It's
that face. Once you're born with a face like that, you got to make it work for you.
He's a good looking dude, man. That's what it is. When you're young,
we uggos. Remember for my wife's Facebook post. It was her birthday, and I said how old she was, and then she's like, Christina's like, well, if you're 50, I'm 100. I was like, oh, you two can both live in an assisted living facility together.
Your wife's not 50.
No, she's not. She's
there's no
old.
Way.
She's really old, but she's not that old.
Oh my God.
She's like 29, I think 28. I don't know.
Oh my God. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah, I just
back to Dan's question. Let's put it back up because you totally like a squirrel.
Interested to hear what's working. Offers accepted. I've heard Javier say, what's getting offers accepted right now? Yeah, like we said at the end, is I said recently in a video, which it came out of my butt, but it's probably the best thing I've ever said ever in my life. What's valuable in this market is not how well qualified you are, because you get buyers are like, I have 800 credit score and I have my down payment and my closing costs. It's like, no, that doesn't matter. How much risk can you take? That's what gets your house. Do you have, like, I have buyers who aren't the best well qualified buyers, but guess what? Their grandma's giving them $20,000. They have extra money saved up on the side. We're going to use that $20,000 to throw at the seller. And that makes them an extremely valuable buyer compared to someone who's really well qualified, huge down payment, but they don't want to take that risk to make an extra, a waive incentive or waive inspections, waive appraisals. They're not going to ever get a house, or they're going to take longer. So quite frankly, how to do it, just got to, it's terrible. And I don't consider it amazing advice, but to get a house in this market and you want a good house, you have to wait. You have to just make yourself a terrible buyer, waive stuff, get the seller everything they want. That's terrible, but it's true.
We got a super chat. Look at you, Caleb Block.
Rouge.
Caleb Block is a real estate agent out in Colorado, and he's seen some crazy markets, because in Colorado they had the we'll call it the plant boom in Colorado. So,
oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they had the big plant boom, and he was expecting it to drop in Colorado.
The Caleb is really high right now.
Yeah, he's been seeing really high increases in the housing market in his area.
That's why he didn't capitalize anything on his comment, because he's super high right now. He can't push shift. He's just like so high. He's like typing everything
because of the housing market. Great content, guys. My buyers just lost out on their first offer, beaten out $22,000 over asking. 2 months of rent back free. Oh my gosh! So if anybody doesn't. So a rent back meaning that the sellers get to stay in that house for an additional 2 months for free.
No risk either.
No,
they're not signing a lease or anything.
And a full appraisal gap. Wow. See, the sellers have too much power. This is gross. This is gross to me. Nick M says 30-year mortgage or 15. We can afford a 15-year, but everyone in family and friends are urging us to take the 30-year and make payments. Thoughts? Okay. I used to be on the 30-year mortgage train. I really was, because of the fact that, I'm young enough, I'm smart enough, and I could afford the payment. But I had a long conversation with a financial advisor, and he said, well, if you can literally get a 30-year mortgage when you're 99 years old and you qualify for it. So why use your own money to, why would you take all of your money, your liquid assets, to buy a house? He says, just spread it out. I'm like, but that's like paying more money over time. And he's like, just weigh it out, you know? So he for our specific finances, he said 30-year would work out better when he worked it all out. But with our next house, it will be a 15-year loan. It will be a 15-year loan because I'll have a big chunk of change to put down. So what's your thoughts?
Well, now you're super rich. Ms. Moneybags here, so that's why.
No, I just have a lot of equity in my house.
I'm just kidding. Please know I'm just kidding most of the time, guys. I know sometimes people take it serious, so please.
I've already busted his butt for being rude to me before.
I know, right? Oh man, I think it's so easy for people to go on the internet and say, always take a 15-year loan, always pay off all your debts, pay 20% down. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but it's so easy to do that. Yeah, duh, right? It's like, don't murder people, don't eat too much. Everyone knows this, but we're all different parts of our lives. You know, maybe we haven't made it where we want to. We're still working up the chain. And I think it's so terrible just for people to go up there and just give these judgmental statements. And then if you follow a certain person's advice and someone didn't, then they judge you for it, right? So listen, I've never had a 15-year loan. Could I probably afford one? Maybe, but I'd rather keep that extra one. I'd rather pay the extra interest over 30 years. I'm sorry. That's just me. Like, I'd rather keep those extra $2,000 or $3,000 and have my kids have great activities. You know, I'd rather give my kids a better life than 15 years from now and be like, well, kids, I didn't give you those activities you wanted, but guess what? I'm debt free. So
yeah,
sucks for you kids. That's terrible advice, financial for some people, but for me, it's just like, dude, just get the house. 30 years fine.
We're looking at it in a more real life viewpoint. I think that's the difference. There was one that I wanted to show here. Where'd it go? Oh, okay. So because I wanted to touch on this because there was something that Biden had come out with. It said in 2008, Obama was handing out $8,000. What was that all about?
I don't remember getting $8,000.
No, it was a tax credit. It was a housing first-time home buyer tax credit, basically. So you could get $8,000 towards your closing costs. At that specific time, the housing market was completely different, and the fact that there was a flood of homes that were for sale, and there wasn't enough buyers in the market. So in order to get those homes sold and incentivize people to purchase, the government offered first-time home buyers $8,000. And I think it went all the way up to $15,000 at one time, just to get the housing market moving, because it was literally at a complete standstill. It was proposed by Biden in his housing plan before he was elected president to go ahead and do something like that again, which was literally the dumbest idea on the planet. Dumb, because of the fact that we don't have enough supply. Now, you've proposed this, and I've heard other people say this as well, is to take that $15,000 and use that towards a credit towards the seller to incentivize them to put it up for sale, which would, let's just give the sellers even more power. Let's just go. We're just throwing money at sellers to sell.
Well, if we give them $15,000 and they're forced to take the house at list price, and they freaking sell their house when they weren't thinking about it, I can see it go wrong though, because the people that were already going to sell, and they're like, yeah, I'll take $15K. That was just something on the top of my head. Sometimes I say things are great, sometimes I don't, but yeah.
But the Housing Wire guy said the same exact thing. He said the same thing.
Maybe I'm the Housing Wire guy all along.
I doubt it.
Maybe it's all about the friends we made along the way, Smallhorn. Did you ever think of that?
Maybe. I heard that banks are not asking for appraisals now. Have you heard anything about it? No. They do. I've heard about drive-by appraisals, especially if the house has that there's been lots of houses in that specific neighborhood that have sold recently. They'll just do drive-by appraisals, but the banks still require appraisals. The one thing that confuses me, and I mentioned it in my last video, is why is it that if the equity in these houses are increasing so incredibly high, why is it that the banks are no longer allowing for people, the average homeowner, to get home equity loans? And I already know the answer in my head is they already know that these prices are not sustainable, and they don't want people to borrow against the equity that they've gained in their house because they know it's going to tank. That's why I think. What is your thoughts on that?
I don't know about that part, but maybe she's confusing it with people waiving their appraisals.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've heard about, like, you have to have especially with an FHA or a government-backed loan, you have
Where
to
are
have
you
an
hearing
appraisal.
people turning down HELOCs?
Oh, the big banks aren't doing them.
Well, they're not.
Mm-mm. Nope. Nope.
I don't.
Because I had suggested that when I did my first video about the housing crash, the impending housing crash, I had suggested if you're in a bad way and you still have a job right now, but you're not sure about your job security, go ahead and get yourself a HELOC. And my comment section was just like, I tried to call, they
How
won't.
dare you?
Well, they, like, some people said, well, they'll allow me a second mortgage, but they would not allow me a HELOC, where I could just take out what I needed at any time. They only were allowing for a second mortgage where you have 2 mortgage payments.
Eddie Smallhorn does not. Eddie wants more likes. He wants more likes now.
He's
like 175 people watching, only 19 likes. There you
go. Is that what he said?
He wants likes. He wants likes. Hopes. No, that's a more YouTube question. I was gonna say, do they have live streams? They really help my live. Talk about it later. Oh yeah, where's the Biden one? I love Biden program questions. You can take this one.
There isn't one yet. I mean, it was a proposal. It was a proposal in, like every president has, like, what their plans are for the government when they
murders.
Yeah, I mean, they all have these, like, grand ideas. If anything that's going to come to fruition is another story. Like $2,000 checks ended up being $1,600 or $1,400. Like, I don't know. So, I mean, things happen. Things happen with all of these things. It was proposed to give $15,000. I don't think there was a real understanding of what the housing market was doing at that time by the people that proposed that. Sometimes I don't even really think the person that is standing behind those words necessarily knows what's in those proposals. So
it's like they get a kindergartner to write him.
Yeah. Or somebody that worked for them before was like, hey, remember when we did that housing plan? People really liked us before. We should do that again. Okay, go ahead and write that in there.
Here's a question I got that you love. Can I just wait? I'm building a house right now. Can I just wait for the Biden program to come out and then you add those $15,000 to my down payment? What would you say? So same answer, same reaction I had. I just smiled. I was like, no,
because let's just say we'll just give a very concrete, real reason why. Everything before it hits Congress, whether it's going to the House or into the Senate, once it's on paper here, by the time it gets to the House, it looks like, so we'll say it's this big. By the time it gets to the House, it goes like this. And then it goes down the Senate and it goes to this. And they negotiate and fight to death. And by the time you were planning on $15,000, now it's $600. So you can't count on anything. All of this stuff sounds good. And it's a great soundbite for media. But none of it means a hill of beans difference until the day the president signs and it turns into a law. You guys remember that old? You probably don't, Javier, because you're
the little bill, white paper.
The bill turns into a law. He's just a lonely bill sitting on the hill. He just wants to be a law.
Yeah, I remember that. I was in the commercials growing up.
Yeah, the Schoolhouse Rock. Rock. It doesn't mean anything. They all say everything they need to say.
I missed the one where they talk about how corrupt everything is and how the senators are in the. Never mind.
They're all like that. I don't give a flying flip on what side.
They're all in the pockets of people that pay the money. That's it.
Who's paying for their campaign? That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if you have an R or a D behind your name.
We're turning into like a political podcast here.
But you know what? Real estate does relate to politics. As much as I try to keep it out as much as I can, it does affect our home prices, and it does affect people in the affordable housing sector. The person that ran the housing sector for the United States for the past 4 years had no business running it at all. I will gladly say that. He was a medical doctor running the housing, and he honest to God, had no idea what he was doing. You could tell by the way he was speaking about things. He was like, I'm reading this and I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm going to read it. Like, I kind of felt bad for the guy. I don't blame him for taking the position, but he had no business doing it. I don't know who's the person that they have coming up next. I can't say one way or the other if they're going to be good. I have high hopes, but I keep those hopes at bay because just like every politician, they all say a bunch of stuff They get elected, nothing happens.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Don't depend on anyone right now. You guys shouldn't be depending on programs or anything right now.
Oh, I know. And then like government bond money can come out. And that was a thing that was really big here, is government bond money. And if you sold your house within 3 years, then you had to pay that back, and people weren't anticipating it. Thank you for doing this. Wife and I are watching and taking all we can from this. Last question. Riverfront property should be listed a bit higher than non-riverfront, question mark. If you're in Louisiana, riverfront property is listed higher than non-riverfront. But there's some areas that people don't want to be on the lake. Even though we flood here, you would think in a million years, like, who the heck would want to be on the river since you flood so much? It's very, it's part of the culture here. People enjoy the rivers. And yes. Yeah. So what do you think?
I don't know what a river is in here in Arizona. What's a river? Is that the dirt? Was that the tumbleweeds?
Yeah, a river runs through it. Somebody ratted me out. Oh yeah.
Come on, LaToya, we're trying to keep things on the DL. Yeah.
Yeah. She's a friend of the channel.
You got
it. But so Javier, any last thoughts you want to give to people before we scoot on out of here? We've given everybody I have some stuff. So but if you want to.
Yeah. I'll start off by saying, if you schedule a live stream appearance, you should probably show up to him, or at least give a heads up of why you're running late or what happened. It's definitely
still don't know.
Small reputation in the YouTube space, and you don't want to ruin that. Secondly, is just, if you can take anything from this housing market content, is we still kind of figuring out as we go. People always like to come in my recent ones. Oh, you said 4 months ago the housing market is in a dude. We're still learning as we're going. Now more than ever, it's an internal thing rather than an external thing. Make sure you're ready. Make sure you're qualified. Make sure you're saved. Make sure you have savings on savings on savings. Get your crap together, and then talk about buying. Other than that, I think you should listen to Smallhorn as much as you can. One thing I have to say about her, other than she loves magic like this, is she absolutely cares about you guys a lot. And she will probably very one of the few realtors and YouTubers that really care about their audience, to the point where she'll turn down even the video ideas or even thumbnails or titles if they don't serve you guys well. So you're in good hands.
Oh, Javier, that was like really, really nice.
Thank you. I wrote that in the script. It's been written for a few months.
Oh, perfect. I want to leave everybody with this. If you are in the process of purchasing a house and you want to know exactly what kind of offer that will work for buying a house, I want you to listen to your trusted real estate agent, because they have been working this market for months and they know what works. So if she's saying you're not going to get this house unless you bid over 10,000 over asking price, listen to her, because you will lose the house if you don't, or him. But here's the thing, and I know I know in the back of your head you're saying this person is only telling me that to offer 10,000 over because they want a bigger commission check. And I'm being completely 100% sincere when I tell you this. That $10,000 over that you are bidding to get that house literally adds a very small amount to our commission. I'm talking like $200 after we paid for licenses, insurances, our broker, the advertise, everything. It's not as much as you think it is. That is not going to make or break our commissions for you to offer $10,000 over. We really sincerely want you to get this house. So if we're giving you that advice in order for you to win the house, listen to your real estate agent. What do you think?
Do you want to thank our sponsors of our show, farmersonly.com? Thank you guys.
I do have a sponsor of the show. If you guys are looking for foreclosure homes, I have foreclosure.com as a link in the description. Yeah. You can join their group for 30 days for free. And the monthly subscription of that is $35. They actually have listings on there, foreclosures that are not in the MLS and not listed necessarily with real estate brokers. So you can get all the up-to-date foreclosures on foreclosure.com. So that's it,
My
Javier.
sponsor is farmersonly.com. Make sure you use code Javier and meet the love of your life today, only at farmersonly.com.
You're a goofball. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm sorry about yesterday's stream, but I think Javier made up for my guest who totally blanked on me yesterday, which was total bummer. Total bummer. Thank you, Javier. I appreciate you. Everybody say goodbye to Javier and make sure you say thank you to Javier for filling in for the guy who didn't show up.
I do have something really important to say, though. I need to announce.
Oh, what a jerk.